Michigan Out of Doors Online is brought to you in part by Mr. Muskie Charters, offering full-service guided fishing trips for walleye, muskie, bass, and sturgeon on Lake St. Clair and the Detroit and St. Clair rivers. Booking information is online at mrmuskiecharters.com.
Hey everyone, welcome to Michigan Out of Doors. I'm Jenny Olson and we've got another all-new show for you this week. We are in full swing with our springtime activities and we are going to tag along with a youth hunter on a first-time turkey hunt. You won't want to miss that story. And Jimmy and Jordan have some other exciting outdoor adventures in store for us this week too.
Well, that's right, Jenny. Lots of good stuff on this week's show. We're actually going to take you on a mushroom hunt on this week's episode in the northern part of the Lower Peninsula. It is that time of the year if you're a mushroom hunter. And if you're a walleye fisherman, you're going to want to check out this week's show. We're going to show you what the DNR was recently doing on the Muskegon River, doing a walleye egg take and stocking lakes all across our great state. And we're also going to have time for a walleye recipe on this week's show as well. Lots of good stuff on this week's episode. You stay tuned. I'm Jimmy Gretzinger. It's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes. Here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan, Michigan out of doors.
What a beautiful day in the woods.
Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. From the Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream. It's a love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Country Smokehouse, a sportsman's destination since 1988. Featuring varieties of homemade sausage, jerky, brats, and gourmet entrees. Holiday gift boxes can be assembled in-store or online. Details at countrysmokehouse.com. By AnglerQuest Pontoons, a mid-Michigan company building boats for fishermen by fishermen. AnglerQuest Pontoons are designed for comfort and functionality. On the web at anglerquestpontoons.com.
Soaking in the rich tradition of Michigan hunting for over 30 years, Vanguard is proud to sponsor our friends at Michigan Out of Doors TV.
This is a guided turkey hunt to be aired on Michigan Out of Doors with Jimmy Gretzinger and Brandon B.O. Nutt right here. He's the brand new groom from yesterday. It will be aired on Michigan Out of Doors. The hunt will take place in Ravenna or a surrounding area.
For the last few years, we have donated a hunt to the Ravenna Conservation Club in hopes of helping them raise a little bit of money for many of the great things they do in their part of the state. You never really know what kind of a hunter may purchase the hunt, and this year we were pretty lucky. Kirk Weaver bought the hunt, and his grandson Kaysen would be our hunter. After getting this 7-year-old all ready to go, we were in the blind a few days ago with many birds gobbling. We had a Jake roosted not even 100 yards from us. The morning was perfect, and as hard as it is to stay awake for us old guys, little Kaysen was resting his eyes as he waited for the birds. Brandon was in the tent next to us doing some calling just to let the birds know where we were. And come flight on time, we had birds on us right off the roost. It took no time at all for this group of jakes to come our way. The plan was to try and wait for one of the longbeards in the area to join our party. But you know, it's pretty tempting to say the least when you're staring at a nice red head in your decoys. So the conversation started to turn in our little blind. Kaysen was thinking these birds looked pretty big, and to be honest, I couldn't blame him. So now we transition from waiting for more birds to let's get this done. We got Kaysen situated with a very nice rest for his 20 gauge. Now we just needed the birds to separate a bit and give him a clean shot at just one bird.
All right, are you ready to shoot? I'm going to take the safety off. Okay, which one you shoot?
The one on the left. Okay. Oh, okay, shoot that one.
Shoot one on the right. Shoot that one, okay.
The big one.
Yeah, right there. Yeah. All right, come on. Yes, the safety's on. Okay, on the right. On the right. It's ready to go. Here. Put the red dot right on. Okay, put the red dot on him and shoot.
Got him. You got him. You got him. Awesome, buddy. You got a turkey. Wow. High five. High five.
Nice job,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. Great job.
Well, these birds gave us quite a show, and what a great morning for a first hunt.
Well, what do you guys think of that? That was pretty exciting,
Was that cool?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we had to decide if you wanted to shoot one, but it's awful tempting when they're standing right there, isn't it? You did good. You were nice and patient.
Yeah. Great job.
So they're looking for the turkey?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
just
right
right
over
in the
there.
woods a little bit. Well, the bird did get up and run into the woods while we were high-fiving in the blind, but Brandon was able to find him quite quickly and was able to take Kaysen and his grandpa to his first bird.
Get our turkey retriever here. Yay, so Pete.
What a bird.
Boy, he must have been down in that creek.
Died right in the water, buddy. You got him though. You got him
Oh my
though.
word. Look at that. He's as big as you.
Awesome.
Not as big as him.
Well, yeah, a nice little jaker. So Brandon, yeah, tell me kind of what happened here this morning. It was kind of a different, that was an awesome hunt.
Yeah. Brother-in-law Eric and me had these birds scouted to a T, and there were 7 jakes, 2 longbeards, about 10 hens, 2 of which were bearded. We waited as long as we could for longbeards, but these jakes wouldn't leave, and he was excited to shoot his first bird, so probably a 20-25 yard shot, and he dumped them, and the bird somehow got up, and the hill's right there. I mean,
Yeah, we were high-fiving in the blind, and then he got up and took off.
yeah.
Just
So
got into the woods here.
yep, he ran about 20 yards and died right in the water. So
Nice job.
the young guy's got his first bird.
Well, what do you think, young man? How was that?
Good.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
How'd this whole hunt come together here?
Well, we were at the Ravenna Conservation Club's banquet dinner, and this was a hunt they auctioned off in the live auctions, so something I really wanted to do with my grandson. So
Nice.
luckily we were able to get it, and made the plans with Brandon and Eric, and today it all came together.
There was a few
so,
birds around here this morning, wasn't there?
oh man, they were everywhere. Them jakes were so close together we couldn't shoot for a long time.
Yeah.
And finally they spread apart enough, and
Well, I did a good job. Let's see that tail fan, Brandon.
Yeah.
That's going to be quite a picture there.
I put my finger in mud.
Oh, that's awesome.
They aren't the prettiest when they get wet, but
yeah.
we'll take it for your first bird, won't we, buddy?
Nice job, guys.
7 years old. That's something
Yeah.
special
That's
for
good.
sure.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, great job.
Well, with all of May still ahead of us, there is still plenty of time for you to get out and enjoy a morning in the turkey woods here in our grand old state.
Hi, I'm Jordan Brown, and right now I'm out here in the woods of southern Michigan, crawling around looking for morel mushrooms, where things are really just getting going down here. But for our next segment on this week's show, I'm going to take you to northern Michigan, where I was able to tag along with an outdoorsman doing the exact same thing. Today I would be tagging along with Ron Brimmer on one of his annual trips north to look for mushrooms. And even though we were a little on the early side as far as time of year goes, it didn't take us long to find a few morels.
We're in the northern woods of Michigan doing some mushroom hunting. Obviously you can look around, there's popple trees, that's where I do the best. I'm with Jordan from Michigan Outdoors here. We actually just found a couple right here. Today we're looking for black morels. There's also another one, the white morels, which you don't find in popple trees. These are popple stands. This is where I find most of my blacks. The white morels grow in ash trees or dying elm trees, and they're later in the season. You know, the blacks come up first, and usually I judge, you ever seen the red buds on the road from the maple trees? If you see the road covered in those, it's a good chance that the blacks are out. That's kind of my gauge. I don't know if anybody else has ever deducted it that way, but that's what I use. If you see the red buds on the road, the blacks are usually out. And then like Mother's Day and later is the whites. You know, everybody says, oh, you must have a lot of private spots. 99% of my mushrooms come from public land. You know, we have a ton of Manistee National Forest in Michigan. And you just got to put in your time and find them. If you got some on private property, that's great. But, you know, this is it's for us here to use, and that's where I find them. I just put in my time and drive around on a beautiful Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, if you can get off during the week. It's a beautiful day today. The sun's shining. I think it's warmest it's been in a while.
Although Ron loves to look for mushrooms, he's also an avid hunter and angler. You just might recognize him from Facebook, where he has a very popular page that many Michigan sportsmen follow, Ron Brimmer Outdoors.
And if you don't know, I'm Ron Brimmer from Ron Brimmer Outdoors. I started out taking food selfies and posting it on Michigan Buck Pole, and it kind of blew up from there, and I started my own page. But I just have a passion for the outdoors. And I like to share what I do. I like other people to share with me. Kind of my favorite things, coyote hunting and trout fishing, mushroom hunting rates right up there, turkey hunting, deer hunting. I just love to be outside, and if you don't realize what we have here in Michigan, it's just all here for us to use. Mushroom hunting's a great way to get out with your family. If you're not necessarily into hunting, like my daughter. She loves the outdoors, but she's not much of a hunter. But this is how we bond. You know, it's kind of a gateway. Get your family out in the woods, spend some time. You know, you're sick of winter. It's something to get you out in the wilderness. We've been here roughly an hour, I'd say. I think we're doing okay. I'm sure we're missing some. Sun's shining. It's a great morning to be in the Michigan outdoors. When you're out hunting, fishing, mushroom hunting, you find some debris, pick it up, take it out with you. And we all got to do our part. Honestly, I just drive around until I see a stand of popples. Like I said, you find a stand and put your time in, walk around. Obviously, if you see other vehicles parked there, it's probably a good idea that they're mushroom hunting, and you may find some there. Sometimes you'll find a random piece of garbage in the woods, a beer can or something, and that kind of an idea that maybe look in that area, because a lot of times people litter when they shouldn't, and they'll find a mushroom and set their garbage on the ground. So I kind of sometimes use that as a landmark.
All in all, things were going pretty well, with our bag of mushrooms getting bigger and bigger as the morning went on. As we were wrapping up, I asked Ron what his favorite recipe was for mushrooms.
My favorite way to cook them is I slice them in half from top to bottom, soak them in water, a little salt water overnight, rinse them off, let them dry a little, rolling them in just regular white flour, and then I fry them in butter. Crispy on one side, and then flip them over to the other side, and then a little bit of sea salt, and they're pretty good.
The next week or two should provide good conditions for finding morel mushrooms in most of the Lower Peninsula, so if you have some extra time, you just might want to give mushroom hunting a try. Special thanks to Ron Brimmer for letting me tag along on a beautiful morning in northern Michigan.
If you have ever caught a walleye here in the state of Michigan on an inland lake, you may want to pay attention to this next story, because there is a very good chance that it came from the Muskegon River. A couple of weeks back found me on the banks of the Muskegon River as the DNR was knee-deep in their walleye egg take program. I was lucky enough to jump on their boat and learn a little bit more about this program.
Well, we've got these long booms out here and with electrodes hanging off of them, and we've got a negative. The negative is on the bottom of the boat, and so when you drop those electrodes in the water, turn the generator on, it puts out a field of electricity that will stun the fish and allow us to net them.
Okay, and then how long do they stay stunned for?
A couple minutes, and depending on the current, that can make it challenging sometimes, but yeah, it is usually non-lethal. I mean, occasionally a fish will take it hard and not survive, but for the most part it's non-lethal, so that's one of the best parts of this type of sampling.
So just a small run up the river from the Pine Street access is the Croton Dam. The shocking boat that we were aboard nets the fish and brings them back downriver. Mark told me more about how this all works.
Yeah, so today we're doing a walleye egg take on the Muskegon River. We're about a mile below Croton Dam here at Pine Street, and we've been working between Croton Dam and the Pine Street access here to collect walleye. And our staff from Wolf Lake and Platte River hatcheries are spawning the walleye. And they will take the fertilized eggs back to the hatcheries this afternoon for they can hatch them in the hatchery. So they're in the hatchery for a couple of weeks, and after they hatch out, they're called fry. And then they'll take the fry to a bunch of fertilized ponds all around the Lower Peninsula. And in the ponds, we try to grow good plankton populations to feed the young walleye. And they'll spend about 6 weeks in the ponds, and then we'll harvest them out of the ponds. And at that point, they're typically 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches. And then we'll stock them in lakes and rivers all around the state. Correct. We've got, the hatchery folks tell us we've got all the ripe females we need today.
So now we're looking for some suckers?
Yep. Looking for some suckers for a little research project. It's being conducted by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
Well, we were headed back to shore with all the walleye we would need. This program is very important for sportsmen across the state.
Well, this is a good thing for sportsmen because a lot of our waters don't get natural reproduction for walleye. So a lot of our inland lakes, for example, if we didn't stock walleye, there wouldn't be any there to catch. And so we stock them so that anglers can go out and catch them. Walleye are a very popular game fish. A lot of people like to catch them. A lot of people like to eat them. And so we like to keep the lakes well stocked with walleye.
Getting to see this process up close is really pretty impressive. It has no harmful effects on the fish in this system and is done for many other species as well.
We stock many different species of fish. Probably the majority of the fish we stock are cold water fish. So that would be Chinook salmon, coho salmon, in the Great Lakes, and then steelhead, brown trout, and rainbow trout in the streams and in some lakes. We also stock lake trout in a lot of inland lakes. And then also, a little lesser known species like lake sturgeon. We have some lake sturgeon stocking programs. We also stock muskellunge, Great Lakes muskies in a number of different lakes. So yeah, our hatcheries raise a variety of fish, and basically the primary reason is for anglers to go catch. Fish stocking in Michigan officially started back in the late 1800s with the Michigan Fish Commission. So since that time, walleye have been stocked to some degree, throughout the state. So yeah, we've got a long, 130, 140, maybe even 150 year, stocking tradition, fish stocking tradition here in Michigan.
I was really surprised just how many walleye were in this system. Now, we were here before the opener, and Mark said that many of these fish will be gone before the opener hits just a week or so back.
We're here on the Muskegon River today, and the Muskegon River does have a year-round population of walleye, so you could come here anytime and try to catch walleye. A lot of the walleye, though, live in Muskegon Lake and run up the river from Muskegon Lake, and a fair number of this population also lives in Lake Michigan. And adult walleye will roam a long ways. And so, for example, walleye from the Muskegon River that were tagged here have shown up in a lot of different places over in Wisconsin, over, on the north shore of Lake Michigan in the UP. Even a few of them have wound up over in Lake Huron. So they can go a long way. We estimate the walleye spawning run in the Muskegon River at about 40,000 annually, maybe even a little more than that in some years. A real good walleye fishery over the next 6 weeks will be the pier heads. A lot of the pier heads like Whitehall, Muskegon, Grand Haven, even Ludington, Manistee, those ports, those piers will provide a real good walleye fishery for these spent, these females that are post-spawn now, and they're heading out to, to feed up again and regain the energy they lost from spawning.
Thanks to all that made today possible, and if you're an inland walleye angler in our state, well, you now know just where many of these fish come from here in Michigan's Out of Doors. Well, hey everybody, we're here once again at Antlers Fireside Grill, Canadian Lakes with Jim Wood. Jim, we got some shrimp, we got, I believe, walleye here. What are we going to be doing today?
Yeah, so we're going to make a shrimp mousse, so it's going to be walleye stuffed. I'm sorry, shrimp stuffed walleye. Okay. And you can use any fillet you'd like. I mean, as long as it's got to be thin enough to where it can roll up. This one's almost too thick because that's the only kind I catch, so it's kind of hard for me to control that.
So you could do perch. I mean, you could have a couple perch fillets there. Or
they'd have to be really big. Okay. Because those small ones will take a little time. Walleye, whitefish, like a smaller trout would work really well. So.
And what are we going to do here with the blender? How do we get this going?
We're going to get our shrimp in there.
And these are obviously uncooked.
These are uncooked.
Yep. Okay.
A little bit of salt.
That's it.
That's it for right now. So once those get broke down a little bit, then we're going to add, I've got 2 egg whites here.
Okay. And we don't have our little burner, so we're going to be doing this in the oven, it looks like?
Yep. Basically, it's roasting, but it's steaming, because we have some white wine and some water and some fresh herbs in there.
Okay.
Next, slowly add in the cream and continue to mix until you reach a consistency that is similar to a thick gravy. Then add a little salt to your fish and apply the mixture to what was the skin side of the fillet.
That's it, eh?
For the most part. Now we've got to roll it up. And what happens is this the shrimp flavor as it's cooking kind of permeates the fish.
Yeah.
So.
So that's why I want it to be kind of thin, because if you had a big, thick fillet, that'd be pretty tricky.
Yeah. And you're going to take it steam side down. You're going to add it. So like I said, I've got water in here. I've got some fresh thyme. I've got some bay leaf.
Okay. Then are we doing anything to this right as is, or no?
Yeah, we're just going to hit it with a little more salt. And then we're going to cover it with some tin foil, and it's going to go into a 350-degree fan, or oven.
For about how long?
It all depends on the thickness of the fish. I mean, this one's probably going to take 10 or 15 minutes, yeah. Okay. I mean, that's in a restaurant oven. A home oven's going to take a little longer. So.
All right. See you when it comes out. Wow. And then what are we doing here for sauce?
So this is a jalapeno tartar sauce that we make here at the restaurant. It's not spicy. We use pickled jalapenos, so it gives it a little more acid, a little more tang.
And what are we calling this dish?
So this is shrimp stuffed walleye with asparagus and jalapeno tartar sauce.
Looks good.
Thanks for joining us this week for Michigan Out of Doors. Make sure you stick around in the upcoming weeks. We've got a lot of fun headed your way. We'll take a look at a brand new caliber that's able to be used here in the limited firearms zone in Michigan. We'll have some taxidermy tips for you that might help you out this fall. We'll have some more springtime fishing and hunting headed your way as well. If you'd like to see where we are and where we're headed next, you can always do that online.
Well, that's right, Jenny. Online is a great way to kind of keep tabs on us. Of course, we're at MichiganOutofDoorsTV.com. We have full episodes of the show there every week. We're on most of the social media platforms as well. And if we don't see you in the woods or on the water, hopefully we'll see you right back here next week on your PBS station.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Greenstone Farm Credit Services, making recreational land ownership possible across Michigan and northeast Wisconsin. Begin your land financing journey at one of Greenstone's 37 locations or greenstonefcs.com. By EOTech, a Michigan company, equipping law enforcement and sportsmen alike with quality optics, creating jobs for Michigan workers. On the web at eotechgear.com. By Pictured Rocks Boat Cruises of Munising, exploring Lake Superior's Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore. With its sandstone cliffs, caves, waterfalls, and lighthouses, Pictured Rocks Boat Cruises on the web at picturedrocks.com. Closed captioning provided by Randy's Hunting Center, serving Michigan as Ruger and Leupold's National Dealer of the Year, and inventor of Ruger's 450 Bushmaster rifle.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man. Changing seasons paint the scene like rainbow trout in a hidden stream. The white-tailed deer in the tall pine trees. I am a Michigan man. I am a Michigan man. Ask where I'm from and I'll show you my hands. Lord above, I love this land. I am a Michigan man. From the Keweenaw down to St. Joe, Kalamazoo, East to Monroe, to St. Marie and back again. I am a Michigan man. I am a Michigan man. Ask where I'm from and I'll show you my hands. Lord above, I love this land. I